In this video, we'll show you how to replace the rear wheel bearing hub on your Ford Edge. This is located in the rear of the vehicle and behind the wheel. Let's get started. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can go ahead and remove the lug nuts with a 21mm. Now we can remove the wheel. We can remove the axle nut with a 32mm. I'm going to use a dead blow to free up the end of the axle here. We can remove the caliper spring. I'm just going to use a small flathead screwdriver for this. Pop one end out, then you can get the other side out. There are two plastic caps on the back side of the caliper. We'll just pop those out. And we can use a 7mm Allen to remove the slide pins. And we can do the same with the one up top. Now I'm going to lift the caliper body up, move it upwards, and I'm going to hang it using a strap. We can remove the pad from the back side, and we can remove the bolts for the back of the caliper with a 15mm. We'll do the same to the one on the top. And we can remove the bracket. And we can remove the rotor. Now we can go ahead and remove the 4 hub bolts with a 15mm. And we can do the same with the 2 bolts on the front side of the hub. Now I'm going to use a hammer and strike on either side of the hub to try to free this up from the knuckle. Now we can use some brake parts cleaner and a brush to go ahead and clean up our mating surfaces. Now I'm going to apply some anti-seize to the inside of the hub, each of the contact points, as well as on the shank of the axle. There's no need to get any on the threads. Now we can start to get the hub onto the axle and into place on the knuckle. Now we can start to get the 4 bolts in through the knuckle into the hub. Now we can get the other 2 in. Now we can snug these down. Make sure you do the same to the 2 on the other side. And we can torque these to 98 foot-pounds. And we'll do the same to the 2 on the front. We can go ahead and snug down our axle nut. Now we can apply some anti-seize to the hub. We can get the rotor installed. It can help to put one of the lug nuts onto the rotor. I'm using an old axle nut as a spacer here, and that'll just hold the rotor to the hub while we install the brakes. We can get the caliper bracket over the rotor, lined up with the holes in the knuckle. We can snug each of these down. And we can torque the bracket bolts to 66 foot-pounds. We'll get our inner pad onto the bracket. We can get our caliper body lined up on the bracket and get our slide pins in. We can start to get these threaded in. Now we can go ahead and snug these down. And we can torque these to 21 foot-pounds. And we can install the caps. We get one end of the caliper spring into the hole on the face of the caliper. Then we can line up the other one and fold the bottom in. And then I like to give each of them just a little tap just to make sure they're fully seated. And don't forget to remove the nut you used to hold the rotor on. Don't forget to remove the strap you used to hang the caliper. If you don't have an assistant to press on the brakes to hold the rotor from moving, you can certainly use a pry bar. In my case, I'm using an awl. We'll keep this steady. We can torque the axle nut to 148 foot-pounds. We can go ahead and get the wheel on the car. I like to spin the first lug nut on all the way. That way it'll hold the wheel on the hub while we get the rest of the lug nuts on. Now we can snug these down in a star pattern. With the vehicle on the ground, we can go ahead and torque these to 162 foot-pounds in a star pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.